Wow, guys. Actually, wow. Did I find the real dark horse of the season today? Because Dead Mount Death Play was completely not what I was expecting, but for all the right reasons. This was great. This episode was genuinely great. Now, in case you guys didn't know, I made a poll yesterday on the community tab asking you guys what you wanted to see today. And I included Dead Mount Death Play for two very specific reasons. One, I heard the show was quite good and genuinely surprising, which it was. And the second is because the author of this series is the author of Baccano and Durarara. So instantly, I knew I wanted to check this out because of that. Those are two fantastic series. So I wanted to check this out regardless. And boy, did it not disappoint. This was totally different than what I thought it would be. But that's enough gushing about this. Let's sit down and kind of break down this episode a bit, because I really did find it interesting. So, the episode begins like any isekai you've seen before, It begins very generically with a battle between the church and the forces of evil. And right away, extremely gory and graphic. These people get torn apart within the first 30 seconds of the show. It's a little wild. Now, the church is led by who I assume to be the hero of our story, who is the church's secret weapon, a mighty veteran with many brushes with death under his belt. The Calamity Crusher himself, Shagrua Edith Lugrid. And his opponent is the Peerless Necromancer, nicknamed the Corpse God. And their battle is intense. And the really funny thing about this is, we'll talk about what happens in a little bit, but this fight itself is honestly genuinely really cool. These two are just going tit for tat with each other the entire time. No one's really getting the upper hand, and the animation is genuinely pretty clean. Now we see that over the course of his life, Shagrua here has had an extremely tough time, filled with lots of hardships, because he shares an ability that's the same as the corpse gods, called the Evil Eye. Now, correct me if I'm wrong about this in the comments, but I believe the Evil Eye, from what I saw, is the ability to see all the living things that whoever you're looking at has killed over the course of their life. I don't believe the user sees the people that they've killed. I believe that they can see all the ghosts of the people that whoever they're looking at has killed. I believe that's how it works. Regardless, this feels like a very cursed ability. This does not seem like a blessing in the slightest. As they even say that most bearers of the Evil Eye flee to the bosom of the church for their whole lives, or they take joy in toying with those ghosts and become necromancers like the corpse god. And we see that despite the negative connotations that come with this ability, he decides to use it for good and to fight against the corpse god for the church. Now, is the church actually good? I've seen enough anime to really question that. I don't think the church is ever good in anime, really, but only time will tell. And it's here we see that over the course of their fight, Shagrua, through the power of friendship and MC ass pulls, defeats the corpse god once and for all and cuts him down. Or at least, that's what was supposed to happen. Because it's here, we transition to our next scene, and we see a set of eyes open up. We're in a vastly different place with a completely different person. Because as we step out of this alleyway and come into the open, we're in freaking Tokyo, dude. This is a reverse isekai. I was not expecting that at all. And the even wilder part about this is, this isn't Shagrua. This is the corpse god right here. He got reincarnated into the real world. Like, what? As we meet our actual MC of the show, as he now goes by the name Polka Shinoyami. What a goofy name, by the way. Now, immediately, some keen-eyed viewers will realize that his throat is slit. The body that he reincarnated into has his throat slit. And it's here, through the eyes of a drone, we see that there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't quite get as we realize that Polka, the person the corpse god reincarnated into, apparently had a hit put out on him. And naturally, everything's completely thrown out of whack now that he's walking around through town. So it's here as we see the corpse god, or I guess Polka at this point, walking around town trying to get a feel for what's happening. He don't know what's going on. This is brand new for him. He can't even fathom what he's seeing right now. And naturally, he gets approached by two cops because he's suspicious as hell, walking around, blood all over him, slit throat. And it's here as he's getting questioned for being suspicious by the police. We see the appearance of this one mysterious girl, literally out of nowhere, literally jumps on the cop's head, by the way, and drags him off. And it's in this moment, guys, I gotta be real. This really felt like the rah-rah-rah. Like, it really feels that way. And I'm digging it a lot. And it's here as we transition to our next scene, which is, funny enough, this girl bringing him back to an alley. She introduces herself as Masaki Sakimiya. And it's here as little bits of memory start flooding into his mind again upon seeing her. He realizes that, oh, she must know the owner of this body. I must be safe with her right now. But that relief doesn't last for long because, surprise! Uno reverse card time, guys! She's actually the killer of this body. And she's come to finish the job. And it's here our chase begins. Now, during this episode, these people called themselves retrievers, which I would imagine are basically just hitmen. You know, from the context we have. Masaki is apparently a hitman for a client, and they apparently put hits out on people and then dispose of the bodies. And that is one such operation that was happening before the corpse god kinda threw a wrench into everything. And it's here as we continue our little game of killer tag. We see that Masaki has led him to this one mysterious room. Which, looking at the context of this room, the contents, I don't know why you would even go in here. This looks like a torture chamber, as she even says. They say the Yakuza used this room as a big-time execution ground. As she adds, rumor has it, ghosts and gangsters haunt this place. And it's here she's cornered him. Things aren't looking good for our boy Polka. But it's in this moment she made one crucial mistake. She didn't realize who she was trapping in this room in particular. Because it's here we see that even in this new body, the corpse god is able to use the evil eye ability, as he can see all the mangled, twisted, awful things that have happened in this room. As he realizes that, I guess the evil eye ability is a power of the soul and not the eyes in the brain. And as he sees all the people that she's killed clinging to her with this ability, he tells her, you ought to treat lives with greater care as well. And it's here she charges at him to deliver the final blow. He tells her, you should handle lives more lightly, because all lives are my playthings. As it looks like he's able to use the negative dead energy in this area and impales her into the wall. It's kind of wild. And after impaling her into the wall, he says, finally, I can think clearly again. As we realize that if he's around death and negative energy, I guess, he can absorb it into himself even in this world, making him a huge threat. Definitely don't bring him to a cemetery, I'll say that. And our episode ends with him saying, from now on, I'll play at being a Grim Reaper. Let's have ourselves a game of killing. And man, guys, looking back on this, I don't know if I really explained to you guys enough just how kind of interesting this series is. How it threw us for a complete curveball. We go in expecting it to be a fantasy series, and even in the synopsis for this show, it talks about reincarnation, so you have a general idea. I didn't think he'd get reincarnated into the literal, like, real world. That was kind of different. It's just, I find this show legitimately interesting. This is not what I was expecting at all, but I really liked it, actually. And I think there are even more things going on behind the scenes, because throughout this episode, we get little glimpses, little hints here and there that the corpse god, the evil person that we think he is, might not be as evil as we think. Because even in this final scene, he says something truly interesting. He says, in this world, I might be able to have peace, finally. So it's just, I really am curious how they're going to handle this show. A reverse isekai. I'm very curious, because it looks like we're going to go back and forth between the fantasy and the real world. Because we see that Shigurua in the fantasy world can't shake the feeling that the corpse god didn't really die, that he didn't finish his job. So I really want to know where we go from here. This is truly interesting. This season, I will say, might not have like the over-the-top super hype stuff that we're gonna have soon, but it has so many like interesting series in it. Like, it's kind of wild. Like, this and Heavenly Delusion in particular are two shows that are really interesting to me, that I can't wait to talk about more with you guys soon. So let me know what your thoughts on Dead Mount Death Play is. Like, if you guys want to see, like, legitimate reviews from this show, let me know down below, because I'd be interested in it. This, you can tell immediately, this has heavy Durarara vibes, because obviously it's the author, same author, but, like, I'm digging this, so I'd be down for it. Let me know your thoughts on this episode down below, guys. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys later, because this was wild. Deuces.